Let's pick a winner. Welcome to another episode of Savage Cash Stroke Savage Crypto. Here with me, Suppoman, your superhero cryptocurrency expert. In today's video, I am going to be bringing you some amazing market news and that gold is coming. I'm also going to be talking about an ICO you can get involved in early November. I'm going to be presenting it Savage Crypto style. I'm going to be talking about the positives, the negatives, and then the final rating, and if I'm going to invest, and if I do invest, what my strategy would be, or what the strategy I'd recommend should be if you want to invest, but I don't. But before we get started, if we can have a quick like spike if you're excited to know about the cryptos I'm going to be speaking about in this video, if you're excited about cryptocurrency in general, and if you want to take your commitment a little bit further, then you can subscribe and join Team Suppoman and learn about the best cryptos daily. Also in this episode, I am going to be giving away 100 of my finest altcoins. Another chance to get involved. So all I need you to do is basically put your My Ether wallet address in the comments, your public address, not your private key, your public address, so that I can send you 100 again of this cryptocurrency. So the first thing to look at today is that basically we've got a bit of a shocker on our hands. We've had billions taken out of the cryptocurrency market cap, and this is unprecedented. On the day of Bitcoin Cash coming out, then there was a huge injection into Bitcoin. Now, essentially, if we look at Bitcoin Gold, it's basically going to be forking in 21 hours. So no longer is it the 25th of October. It's actually going to be done tonight, or depends on what country you're from, but either tonight or tomorrow. So it's coming really soon, okay? But there was an amazing piece of news that I got today. I got some incredible news, and it all concerns my number one cryptocurrency. I have learned today something absolutely game-changing about this cryptocurrency that I've shared with my community. Okay, so I've got two communities. I've got my mastermind group community, which you basically join as a result of taking any of my courses on Udemy for $10, which you can see in the description. And I've also got another group which is dedicated to my number one cryptocurrency. Okay, and today I shared with them some information. Basically, people have been investing in it, and the reason why is because the news I've heard is amazing, but I can't actually say what that news is, but you heard it first here. There is something amazing that's going to be happening, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a great announcement, and when I say announcement, I kind of mean kind of Neo League announcement, okay? It's going to be a huge announcement for this number one cryptocurrency, and if you really want to get involved with it, then essentially just join this course for $10, and you get an invite to both of my groups, okay? And of course, the one related to my number one cryptocurrency is one where we speak about that cryptocurrency, we talk about it, we've created a community behind it of, you know, nearly 3,000 members, okay? So I'm telling you that there is a strong community behind this, okay? And a passionate one, and one that supports the price of it for if it falls during this period, which, you know, it has seen some falls in cryptocurrency. There's quite a nice support line that stops the price going too low. And all the people in my community just accumulate more, basically, if the price goes too low. With that in mind, what I am going to be doing now is I am going to be finding a winner for yesterday's competition. All right, so I am going to take this link. I'm going to chuck it into this random comment picker here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just randomly generate a comment, and hopefully the comment that I get will be something that's good. And if it's not, if I get a rubbish comment that says, hey, you know, great video or something crap like that, then I'm not going to bother and I'll find another winner. Okay, so let's pick a winner. The winner is Edgard Rodriguez. Thanks for the open door to real crypto world, and I'm sure this is the very best time to be in it. I would like you to address landing platforms, and what's your opinion about it? Now, I am guessing that actually means lending platforms. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that address here. I'm going to go into my Ether wallet, tap in that address, and I'm going to send to this address 100 of my number 1 coin. So look after it and essentially be committed to it. So there we are. It is going, gone. So there we are. It's gone. Okay, 100 of my finest number 1 altcoin. And I am going to be doing another one tomorrow. Okay, so back to this question. So I'd like you to address lending platforms. What's your opinion about it? Well, I think probably the most famous example of a lending platform is BitConnect, okay? And essentially, I've seen one particular cryptocurrency YouTuber making a lot of money in Bitcoin through BitConnect, okay? So he is almost showing how it works, why it's useful. Now, it all depends what side of the fence you sit on with regards to lending platforms. Personally, with BitConnect, I'm not a massive fan of it because I don't really like the whole referral scheme around it, okay? Because basically it's just making money off of others and basically trying to persuade others to go into a scheme so that you benefit from it. I don't like that idea. But the whole purpose of lending has obviously got its purpose within the real world. Banks do lending, for goodness sake. And so at the end of the day, you know, if people are going to lend money and get some form of dividend from it, then, you know, there's no problem with that. I'm just not a fan of BitConnect, but I do think that lending platforms are valuable because it essentially enables a community to grow and stay within it. It's a bit like a masternode. Masternode coins essentially enable people to keep hold of a coin rather than just blank sell it, because most cryptocurrencies that don't have any kind of reward scheme, it's easy to just dump and then buy another altcoin or buy Bitcoin or whatever. But with platforms that actually offer you benefits to staying within the community and holding that crypto, then I think that's a good thing because it means that people actually stay with the crypto, and that's a good thing. I'm not necessarily sure about BitConnect, so that is my 10 cents on it. So we've got Bitcoin Gold that's going to be happening very soon, okay? And it looks as if that the Bitcoin Gold developers have essentially put together now a website that shows Bitcoin Gold looking a lot more glossy than it did the last time I looked at this website, okay? Now, they are saying that they're offering replay protection, which is something that has been a cause for concern for people with regards to the safety of their investments. And I think it's fair to say that Bitcoin Gold has not made a lot of fans, okay? It's not inspired a lot of people to get behind it, and I think that that shows in the value of Bitcoin today, because given that it's coming in like 21 hours, you would have thought that basically there would now be a great big pump injection into Bitcoin. Especially now as America has woken up, you'd expect that people will have been pumping money into Bitcoin, okay? But they're not, okay? They're not. They're taking their money out of it, which just goes to show that, in fact, people aren't so enthusiastic about this crypto because actually this would be spiking all the way up from now until the actual fork happens. And it's not. And it's very, very weird. And there just doesn't seem to be that support for Bitcoin Gold. I mean, you can look around on YouTube and you can see people's opinions on it. You know, I haven't really got much of an opinion either way. I'm not a miner. I like the fact that they are trying to make mining more accessible to the ordinary person. I like that. However, I'm not necessarily sure about the pre-mined Bitcoin Gold that they've already got, because they could just dump it on the open market as soon as it comes on the exchange. So I'm not necessarily sure that it's a safe thing. You know, I'm not necessarily sure Bitcoin Gold, despite, you know, what it's trying to achieve for the end user, I'm not necessarily sure it's got the support behind it that's going to pump it up. I don't know. That's a sure and simple fact. But I would say the sentiment in the market is more negative than positive, okay? And Bittrex has issued an official statement about Bitcoin Gold, and as it says here, warns users. So what it's basically saying is that they are going to honor on a one-to-one basis. If you've got some Bitcoin on Bittrex, they are going to honor it one-for-one with Bitcoin Gold. So that's great. But what they're saying is, again, they're saying Bitcoin Gold does not have fully formed consensus code, implemented replay protection, adequate code for testing and auditing, publicly known code developers. It says here, like I've just said, Bitcoin Gold codebase also contains a private pre-mine of 8,000 blocks, or 100,000 Bitcoin gold, please be aware that if the market does open, there's a possibility of the developers selling their pre-mined Bitcoin gold onto the open market. So nevertheless, in spite of Bittrex's reservations about the currency and the difficulty involved, they are going to be committed to its users by receiving the appropriate amount of Bitcoin gold one-to-one with Bitcoin. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you've got Bitcoin, you're going to get some Bitcoin gold. But I think that people taking their money out is an indication of the sentiment on the market. People aren't necessarily very enthusiastic about it, and this doesn't necessarily bode well for the future value of Bitcoin gold. But as you can see here, it's become quite a bare day today. I mean, it's not even the weekend, and it's become quite a bare day today. There's been very few increases in some cryptocurrencies, and Steam is at an incredible price right now. This is arguably one of the greatest prices I've ever seen Steam at, and it's only at 15,700 sats, which is superb. So anybody wanting to get behind Steam right now, this is a great time to do it, okay? But most cryptocurrencies are drastically falling, okay? Drastically falling. So, just goes to show what impact Bitcoin Gold has had on the market all of a sudden, almost overnight, okay? So, now what I'm going to do is I am going to talk about an ICO that's going to be available for you to invest in at the beginning of November, namely the 2nd of November, and that is Utrust. Now, I have already spoken about Utrust with you before, and essentially the ICO was supposed to go live beginning of October. And I think they made an incredibly good decision to move it to November, because seeing as though what was happening in the market at that time, with basically Bitcoin getting most of the attention, most of the investment, most ICOs during this whole period have been ignored because it's not business as usual. Because we're in this predicament where, in fact, all eyes right now are on Bitcoin. Okay, so they have timed it so that this ICO will run over and past SegWit 2x. Okay, so I'm now going to talk about this because it's updated since the last time. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go through Utrust with you. I'm going to talk about what it is, why you may want to invest, why you may not want to invest, and then give it a final star rating. Okay, so what is Utrust? Essentially, Utrust is an online payments app with protection. Is essentially the crypto PayPal, okay, or the PayPal of crypto. So, what are Utrust's benefits? Okay, why might you want to invest? Well, because they've got buyer and seller protection on all purchases. Whether it's physical goods or virtual goods, they've got buyer and seller protection on all purchases. So if something goes wrong, if something goes wrong with the transaction, if somebody is scammed or, frauded, then essentially there's protection for both buyer and seller under Utrust's platform. Okay? And that is something that is not offered by any other crypto. Okay, so Monetha, that's also a payments app. It's more a mobile payments app, but it's essentially the same thing. Doesn't have the level of protection, neither does PayPal have the level of protection that Utrust has. I mean, if you look on Utrust's website, you can see the comparison of protection between Utrust and the competitors, I suppose. So this is the pain point that they are solving. Now, with Utrust, you can pay with crypto. Essentially, you pay for something with cryptocurrency, and it converts to fiat for either a low fee, so significantly lower merchant fees or seller fees than traditionally exists, like, for instance, with PayPal, or for zero fee if you are actually paying with a Utrust token rather than cryptocurrency. And it's a multi-currency payment method, okay? So you can pay with Bitcoin, pay with Dash, Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum, and of course Utrust. So they support the major cryptocurrencies. It's a deflationary token supply. So I'm going to move on to token supply in a minute, but essentially speaking, when you pay for something using Utrust's platform, they're going to take the transaction fee for the purchase, and they are going to convert it into tokens, and then they are going to burn those tokens, thus increasing token value. Okay, so even though I'm going to go through the token supply in a minute, the actual token value, this token supply isn't necessarily what's going to be permanent. They are going to be constantly burning tokens through the transactions that are made using Utrust's platform, and therefore increasing token value down the line. And I personally think this is going to be a benefit when I move on to the supply. At the moment, it's a cheap ICO. So basically, it's 6.5 cents per token, all right, which is relatively cheap for a cryptocurrency. Now, there are some more benefits. It's got a long roadmap, okay? I mean, basically, you're taken to Q1 2019 if you look on their white paper, and they are looking to actually release the platform end of 2018. So what we've got is basically a long route that basically Utrust can progress through, okay, until they bring out the platform, the main platform, okay? So there's a series of things they're going to be bringing out across the course of time that's going to incrementally increase the value of it. So by getting in at a rock bottom price like 6 cents, then essentially you enable the ability for your investment to grow over time. And the CTO is formerly from a leading digital payment platform. So the Chief Technical Officer was previously a Chief Technical Officer at a leading digital payment platform, although it's not actually said. Okay, in Manetha's case, it was actually said PayPal, that one of the team was part of, but they're not actually saying in this. But it gives you an element of trust. And in addition to this, there's actually a team of 15 behind Utrust. Okay, so there's quite a large dedicated team covering, technical, legal, marketing, a massive team covering most of the bases that a company has to cover. Okay, so when you've got a cryptocurrency with like 2 people, it's harder for them to cover all the bases. But with 15 people, they can cover the bases a lot more effectively, and they've also got 9 advisors in the fields where they have staff. So they've got that constant support from well-known people that can help them in the field. So now let's talk about the negatives, because there are some negatives, and it's worthwhile you know about this and that I make this review as objective as possible. Okay, so the number one, which is always, kind of my drawback when I'm investing, is the supply. Now, this supply is actually the equivalent of EOS and pretty similar to Civic as well. And Civic and EOS are both outstanding cryptos that I imagine are going to gain a lot of value down the line. Okay, now Civic is worth, about 30 cents. EOS is worth about 80 cents. So when you're seeing where Utrust will start off with, which is 6.5 cents, then you can see that there's actual examples of new cryptocurrencies with similar coin supply that have actually gone into, over 50 cents. Okay, Civic was at one point over 70 cents. So, this can grow over time. And the good thing is that with the deflationary supply is that this 1 billion, this 10-figure coin supply is actually going to be reduced to 9 figures. Okay, so that makes it already more appealable. All it needs is just one of those tokens to be burnt to take it into 9 figures. It's not a completely unique niche, payments. There's quite a few payment apps out there, and probably the most relevant is Manetha. Okay, and that came out very recently. Okay, so that's already in people's peripheries. So it's not completely unique. It's not coming into the space like No Limit Coin with virtually no competition and could be seen as the market leader, the first mover advantage, the one that people associate their name with the niche they are covering. That doesn't happen with Utrust, although there is the potential for them to get associated with that if they actually bring out something that rivals PayPal in terms of usage and in terms of popularity and Alexa ranking. They're unproven, okay? Obviously, it's ICO. It requires popularity. It requires social proof. It requires people to come to use it, to recommend it, word of mouth. I mean, it's not easy to get people to a platform. And even if you get one person to a platform, it's really hard to get a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth unless you use some real viral marketing strategies, or at the very least, if you can get a large dedicated group of people. And at the very moment, we're at the very beginning of that. So you have to kind of think about, right, the future. Are they going to be able to essentially implement their vision and get loads of people in? Now, given that they've got quite a large team and a former CTO of a leading payment company, it's very likely they've got some knowledge as to how they can implement this and get it used and mass adopted. They've got one VP of marketing, okay? So with one VP of marketing, that's one marketing bod, really, one central marketing bod. Now, a lot of what drives traffic is marketing. How do you get people to come and see your product? How do you get people to come and use it? How do you market it out there? Marketing is actually a huge part of building a platform and building a community. Now, with one VP of marketing, is it likely to have mass adoption? Well, at the end of the day, marketing at the moment isn't the priority. At the moment, they've got quite a large team of developers and people basically dedicated to product. Okay, so at the moment, I think it's all hands on deck to build the product, and then they will bring more people into the marketing team when they're ready to go out. So I think that this objection can kind of be handled, but again, you've got to kind of use your discretion. Also, there is Manetha. Manetha recently happened, okay, and Manetha kind of crashed and burned. Okay, now I know that Justin, the founder of Manetha, is basically picking it up, and he's going to be turning this into a long-term project. At the end of the day, it's a business, and he's going to try and create the value. Okay, but what happened with Manetha shows really what can happen with a payment company. So there's always Manetha to cross-reference it with, and people may think, well, this is just going to be another Manetha. But on the other side of the equation, you are going to be able to use major cryptocurrencies. In that sense, it's kind of a little bit better than Manetha, because Manetha was really using ERC20 tokens or Ethereum-based tokens. So, with that in mind, what is my final rating? Well, as far as ICOs go, I think this one's pretty good ICO. Okay, not quite top stars, but 4 stars out of 5. Okay, and this ICO starts November the 2nd. Will I be investing? Yeah, damn I will be. And I'm going to be investing for the very long term. They've got a long roadmap, they've got a platform to build, and at the end of the day, I'll more than likely be helping them down the line, talking about them in YouTube videos and all that kind of thing, assuming I'm not a trillionaire by then because of my #1 coin. But the fact of the matter is that I'm going to just buy and hold for the long term. Why not? And essentially just stay invested in this cryptocurrency and ride the long wave, essentially. Fortune favours people who can invest long enough, essentially, to make the returns. Don't just settle for ×3, ×5 return. Settle for kind of ×50 return. So, there we are. So that is what I'm going to be doing with regards to Utrust. So essentially, the main talking point from this video is the market news concerning my #1 cryptocurrency. So what I would recommend is, if you are interested in getting in there before the news comes out, which is going to be in a couple of weeks, I think, or a little bit more. I'm going to be revealing this at 50,000 subscribers anyway, and I'm on nearly 45,000. So I'm just 5,000 off revealing it. So it's best to get in before the storm. Anyway, guys, I hope that this has enthused you. If you want to get 100 coins of my #1, then basically leave your MyEther wallet address in the comments below with a good comment. If you give a crap comment, then I'll more than likely ignore it and move on to the next one. Till next time, guys, it is lights out, all out.